Welcome back to What Healing Knows. Before we begin, take one breath with me, a small return to yourself. Healing begins in moments exactly like this one. After more than 20 years in medicine, one truth has remained constant. The body always knows how to heal. What it needs is for us to listen. This space is an invitation to do exactly that, to slow down, to listen, to return to yourself without pressure and without judgment. I'm Dr. Kidi. This is Segment 3, Devotion and Discipline, Episode 7, Return is the Practice. You will drift, but you can return. In this reflection, we will explore what it means to drift and why it happens. We will look at the patterns that move you from urge to action without pause. And we will return to the Tinfash Healing Time, the time between the urge and the action, where you can choose what comes next. Let's begin right here where you are. Return is the practice, the Tinfash Healing Time. Healing is not built on never leaving. It's built on returning. The drift. I sat down with intention. Writing this story was on my list. I felt clear, grounded, and committed. I usually write outside by my flower pots, but it was drizzling, so I moved into my studio. A cup of cinnamon spice tea besides me, my laptop open, my notebook within reach, everything in place. This was my ritual, and I had made a promise to myself to begin. That morning, I was disciplined, I was devoted, but then came the pull. It did not announce itself loudly, it did not ask for permission, it simply began. I reached for my phone and confirmed a dinner date. Small, harmless, still, it pulled me away. I put the phone down. I returned. Then, without thinking, I went downstairs to put clothes in the laundry. Not because it needed to be done, but because it felt easier than staying. Then I opened the refrigerator, stood there for a moment. I closed it, unsure why I had opened it since I recently ate. Back upstairs, back to the page. My mind drifted again, this time to yesterday, replaying something I had said, but saying it perfectly. Then it moved to tomorrow, planning, adjusting, anticipating. And somewhere in between, I lost my place. I drifted. This is not a failure. Drifting happens naturally. The mind wanders, the body pulls away. Not because we're undisciplined, but because it's what the mind does. It fabricates thoughts. It moves towards comfort. Then it forgets. The mind is wired for survival. It scans, predicts, and searches for relief. Staying present asks you to feel what is here, even when it's uncomfortable or uncertain. So the mind offers an easier exit, something lighter, something familiar. And just like that, you drift to the phone, to the laundry, to yesterday, to tomorrow. You drift toward the familiar, toward places that feel easier to hold than what is here. Because the present moment asks for consciousness. It asks you to accept what is. But here's the good news. Between the urge to pick up the phone and the moment you actually do, there is time. In that time, you can choose whether to pick it up or not. And that time is what I call the Tinfash Healing Time, the choice point. The Tinfash Healing Time may be very quick, sometimes just one breath, sometimes less, but it's there. That is where choice lives. That is where your power to heal lives, not in stopping the urge from arriving, but in what you do in that small window before you respond to it. That is where you pause, breathe, and ask the body what it needs. The answer will guide your choice, and the choice you make, when it's rooted in your body's truth, is what healing in real time looks like. What it means to return. Each time I drifted, I came back. Not because I was perfectly disciplined, not because I forced myself to stay. I came back because I noticed I had left. And the next time the urge came, I paused. I entered the Tinfash Healing Time, took a breath, and chose to stay. That is all return is. Noticing, choosing, and beginning again. The healing path is not built on never leaving, it's built on returning. And each return brings you back to the present, to something real, to what your body has been asking for. With practice, it becomes familiar. The return feels like starting over and more like continuing. The distance between leaving and coming back begins to soften. You start to trust yourself. And in part two, we will practice to pause, breathe, and choose. Let's slow down the process from urge to action and hear the body speak. If you're somewhere safe, cross your arms tightly across your chest. Lift your shoulders towards your ears. Hold your breath just enough to notice the tension and stay there for a moment. And of course, the urge to let go comes naturally. You do not create it and you cannot stop it. And right now, the body is speaking. It's asking you to let go, to uncross, to exhale, to release. Now inhale deeply and release. You have just responded to your body's needs by making a choice. And this is not only about the body. It's the same when you hold on to a thought that will not soften, when you stay with a memory that pulls you back, when you worry about the future that makes you anxious, when a habit asks to be repeated. There's always an urge to keep holding on, but there's also an invitation to let go. And in that moment between the two, that is between the urge and the action, exists the Tinfash Healing Time, where you can listen to the body and let go, or override it and continue holding. Entering the Tinfash Healing Time takes practice and the willingness to return again and again. You can use the Tinfash 5C practice to enter the Tinfash Healing Time. Your willingness to return again and again makes healing a lived experience. The first C is to count to 3 seconds. When you feel the urge or the thought arrive, count silently. 3, 2, 1. Just enough to slow the moment down. Just enough for the thinking part of your brain to come online before the reaction takes over. Then go to the second C. Close your eyes. Closing your eyes helps you turn inward. Thoughts will come. That's fine. Let them go. You're not trying to empty the mind. You're simply turning away from the outside toward what's happening inside. The third C is to count your breath. Your breath is what keeps you in the Tinfash Healing Time. It's the anchor. So you inhale 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let the exhale be longer than the inhale. And stay here for as long as you need. Then create distance. Throw away, walk away, float away. If the urge is physical, create a physical distance. Throw away what does not serve you. Walk away from what tempts you, or do not bring it into your space. If the urge comes from your thoughts, create mental distance. Place the thoughts that carry worry, fear, hate, or stress on a cloud, literally on a cloud, and let them float away. Imagine that. They will return. That's okay, but keep letting them go. The last C is to choose. Now you're fully in the Tinfash Healing Time where you can make a choice. Ask your body one question. What do you need? And choose based on that. Each breath is a new beginning. Each return is a small act of devotion. Again and again you return. And that's the practice. What you become, returning is not just something you do. Over time, it becomes something you are. Not because you never leave, but because you know how to come back. You learn how to pause, how to come back to your breath when you feel off balance, how to return to stillness when the world is loud. And you begin again without turning against yourself. Once you hear what your body is telling you, it becomes harder to ignore. So you return, and in returning, you continue to heal. A closing note on segment 3. This is the final episode of Discipline and Devotion. The 7 episodes asked you to show up, to recommit, to keep small promises, and to return to the Tinfash time again and again. Discipline is never about force. Devotion is never about perfection. It's about the practice of entering the Tinfash Healing Time, pausing between urge and action, listening to what your body needs, and choosing from there. This is what healing in real time looks like. This is what healing knows. If you are still here, something in you has already said yes. That's not a small thing. That's the fire beginning to stir. Thank you for letting me walk beside you on this part of the journey. We will next move to segment 4, Honoring Truth, where we go farther into entering the Tinfash Healing Time, because healing does not end with awareness. It deepens through honesty, and honesty asks something of us that discipline alone cannot teach. If this reflection spoke to something in you, share your thoughts in the comments. Your words matter here, and they often become the reminders someone else needed to hear. And if you share your experience on social media, find me on Instagram at Dr. Kidi Healing. That's Dr. K-I-D-I Healing. I would love to stay connected on this path with you. Until next time, keep listening, keep returning. Healing now's the way. With love and more love, Dr. Kidi.